Camera DJs podcast called The Is, and I'm here with Dwayne Wayne.
What's up, Brandon? How are you?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful. It's beautiful outside, so it's always a good start to the day.
It's always a great start. Yes. So what are we here to talk about today?
We're here to talk about some coordination and things that we would say might want to be on your checklist before your big day.
Great. Yeah, I talked to a lot of couples who they have questions and they're not really sure what the answers are. Or they might have heard something, or they'll say to me, "Should I be concerned about this, or what should we do about this?" And some of these things I think we just came up with. This is a good list that we share with people.
Yeah.
Answer some questions.
And it doesn't matter whether if it's you're one of our clients or if it's a friend or people are always saying, "Oh, I didn't know I should be doing this or that." They're always getting insight from other people, like their friends. So we want to be your friend, and we want to give you guys some insight as well from being wedding professionals. So one of those things is ceremony. So Brandon, tell me what you think are some of the important things that they should tell their friends, their families, their bridal party, even their officiant if it's an on-site ceremony, to know about.
I think one of the important things we should talk about is how to coordinate with your officiant, because we use lapel microphones. So we always tell if it's a male and he has a suit, it's real easy. It's a guy, you just put it inside his inside jacket pocket. If it's a female, it's not as easy because of depending on what she's wearing. So sometimes they'll have pockets. Sometimes you can clip it to a belt. Sometimes you can clip it to the back of their dress up under their neck. That's one good way to hide it. But this is something that it would be a good thing to talk to your officiant ahead of time, just to let them know. This way, it's not a surprise when they get there.
Yeah, that's always important, because then at that moment, where everybody's kind of trying to figure out what Plan B is. So if you can get these things out of the way and let people know, then it's one less thing for you to have to even think about on your big day, or for anyone else to think about, because generally, no one's going to come to you with that information at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But if it can go as smooth as possible, that's always Plan A. Also, if there's a way to either have your officiant or your DJ or even someone kind of spread the word, because so many people love to jump in the aisles and take pictures, either with their iPads, their iPhones, or their Samsungs, whatever they possess, their regular cameras, DSLRs. You might want to let everybody know so that they're not actually kind of being the photo bomb person that you don't want in that picture.
Mm-hmm.
Because you only get a once in a lifetime experience with these pictures, and sometimes if you can let people know, hey, try not to take those pictures when we're walking down the aisle or something like that.
Or just stay out of the aisle. Or
stay clear of that.
Photographer.
Correct. But they don't always know that, because sometimes there's two photographers, so they might see one taking them. Like, say the bride's walking down, there might be someone in front of them, but there also may be a second photographer that's taking the picture from the back side of it, and this way they're not in the way of those pictures as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of like summing up ceremonies and just some things that we think. Obviously, if you think there's other things that you've encountered or experienced and you want to tell us so we can tell other brides and grooms, please feel free to let us know. What else are we going to be talking about today?
We're going to talk about the introductions. So that's the first part of the reception, basically, after cocktail hour is the introduction. So there's a lot of questions that people have with introductions, and one of the biggest ones is the music.
Yeah.
What music should we play? What song should I play? And I think that it's really important. You should look at, so if you're going to look for a song for your parents and your bridal party or your grandparents, you should think about who they are and something that's going to relate to them, something that's really going to get them going, because we're setting the tone of the party here. This is what I tell people.
Mm-hmm.
So we want everyone to come in and have a good time. And then another question I have is, people say, well, should we have one song for each person? Should we have one song for everybody?
Yeah.
And I really think that it just depends on the people you have coming in and the mood you want to set. You want everything to be smooth, and you want everything to be high energy and fun. You just have to keep those things in mind.
I mean, it's also your personality. So, we try to set the tone with the high energy and fun, but if that's not what you're looking for, by all means, that's okay. In addition to that, I would also like to add, it has to do with your venue. Because if there's not a very long walk, changing songs for each group in the bridal party sometimes just does not work. It
Mhm.
doesn't flow. Because if it's only a 10-15 second clip, that sometimes doesn't give enough for your crowd and even the people walking in to get that excited and really, set that grand entrance that you're looking for. Also, try to let your bridal party members and everyone that's involved in that entrance know what they're coming out to. Because then, this way, they have a little time to prep, whether it's the rehearsal dinner, whether it's weeks before, whatever it may be. This way that they're involved as well and that they're not hearing it for the first time at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
So-
a really good idea. This way they can prepare for what they want to do when they come
Correct.
out.
Preparation, preparation, preparation.
Awesome. And then after introductions, we go usually into the first dance, so that's something else we could talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we do that. Not every company does that, but we typically will go right into your first dance. That's completely up to you guys as well. But going right into your first dance, again, you wanna just go through things like this happens all the time. Your bridal party, do they know that they are going to be asked to join in? Again, that's your discretion if you want them to. But say you have a bridal party of 5 and 6. Well, when they get asked to come onto the dance floor, it's not an even number. So you might want to let them know ahead of time so that this way, maybe the person that is on the other side of the 6, say for instance the 6 bridal party members, they can grab one of those people can grab a significant other. And a lot of times there's people paired up that may not be, say significant other or married, and there might be someone else in the wedding party. I was actually just in a wedding not too long ago, and I was the best man and the matron of honor. Her husband was also a groomsman. So had the bridal party join in halfway through, we would have suggested having, her dance with her husband, and I would have danced with his partner at that point, his walkout partner. So that's just something I like to tell people so that they're aware. So, because a lot of times we'll meet the bridal party and we'll say, hey, you guys know you're joining in? And they're like, no, we have no idea. So at least they're aware of that as well, so that this is something that they can also prepare for.
Yeah, so we want to prevent more surprises.
Yeah.
The other thing that a lot of people have questions about is toasts. Toasts are blessings.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing you should do, obviously, I mean, it seems obvious, but not a lot of people do. But the first thing is you should let the person know that they're giving a toast.
Yeah.
You should make sure it's okay with them, see if they definitely want to do it. And then it's a good idea to get the order down as well too. This way you know who's going.
And who's going to be after who. And
yes.
Also, in addition to that, maybe you want to talk to your bridal party about if there's anyone that would like to give a toast. Because that happens all too many times where, the toasts are done and then someone will just pop up and say, hey, I have a speech prepared. And the bride and groom have no idea that they have that speech. And for us as a company, we won't just hand a microphone over to someone. We have to get your permission. And sometimes they will feel a little funny about that because it's like, I'm their best friend and such, or I'm the sister.
Yeah, I was gonna say
And
sometimes it's a sibling too.
Sibling, and I'm like, well, we still just have to make sure. So what I always tell people is maybe ask your bridal party if there's anyone that wants to give a speech, so that this way that surprise element is out of the way as well.
Okay. Another thing we want to talk about was parent dances.
Mm-hmm.
You dance with your parents.
Yeah. So or anyone else.
Or
that,
anyone, yeah.
For that matter, that's you want to have a sentimental dance with. If it's a surprise, obviously don't tell them. But if it isn't a surprise, again, tell them, and not just tell them when it's going to take place.
Mm-hmm.
If you can tell them ahead of time, because here we will do parent dances either, generally right after the first dance, and we'll go into the parent dances, and maybe we'll do it after dinner. But let them know that as well, so they can prep, and maybe they want to tell a friend or somebody there, because it's also a very big moment for them. Maybe they want to include and let someone know. All right, I'm going to be dancing. If it's a coworker or a neighbor or somebody that they're going to have in the audience as well, to see that big moment with you guys. So just to keep them in the loop.
Yeah, that's really important, definitely. Another topic I wanted to discuss was cake cutting.
Okay.
Some of the coordination, some things you have to do behind the scenes. You were saying before we started that one important thing is you have to let people know what tier they're cutting.
Correct. That's my favorite in the moment question. Someone will look at me and it's either the bride group or somebody in the couple will look at me and they'll say, what tier do I cut? And I'm like, well, all right. You know, generally we know it's the bottom tier that you're gonna cut, but sometimes that isn't the case. But maybe your baker or, you know, whoever it is, the venue that maybe they're providing the cake for you, they can actually give you that information ahead of time. So, or they can give that to us or the photographer or whoever. This way that you're not just, it's not a guessing game. Or sometimes the other tiers are actually fake. They're not, you know, they're not really. Or, you know, sometimes one part is gluten free and then another part isn't. You know, however, I don't do cakes, so I wouldn't know. I do eat them, but I don't actually make them. So, but yeah, that's just something that you probably want to kind of have information on, so that you know, hey, what tier do I cut?
All right. The other thing, this is becoming more and more popular too, is the sparkler send off.
Or even sparklers at
Sparklers
all.
in
Yeah,
general,
just
yeah.
doing a sparkler picture.
Mhm.
Funny story, 250 people at a wedding. Everyone knew about the sparkler picture but me. The photographer knew, the videographer knew, the venue knew, obviously the bride and groom knew. I had no idea. So the venue says to me, hey, what time are you announcing the sparkler picture? And I was completely dumbfounded, and I didn't know. And then the photographer said, yeah, they're doing it. So, one, I would tell you to let your MC, DJ know, but definitely, obviously, let other people know, you know, your photographer, your videographers, and people like that know that that's going to take place. But keep in mind, so this wedding had 250, 260 guests. It's not always easy to have that many people come outside or go wherever for that matter and take a picture and get the picture that you might be looking for. I know people see these pictures on Pinterest and stuff like that, but a lot of times it's maybe 50 people or it's just the bridal party. So keep that one in mind. Also, if you are doing a sparkler picture, I don't remember the exact size, but try to get the longer sparklers. I tell people this all the time. Get the longer sparklers, because when you light them, generally they're going to be lighting someone else's off of it, or it's going to take some time to get all of those sparklers lit. So just a little food for thought on the sparkler picture. Obviously tell your MC or DJ, and
Or both.
And make sure that everybody kind of that's involved is aware, but more importantly that you guys are aware that if you're going to do a sparkler picture, not necessarily you might be able to get all of your guests. Obviously, we'll accommodate you any which way, but trying to get 250 people in a shot with sparklers, not always the easiest thing. So
Yes,
Just
definitely,
add
especially at the end of the night
yeah.
also. Okay, so this thing is becoming big, probably even faster, is hashtags at weddings.
Oh, hashtags
This is
are awesome.
something I didn't really,
Hashtag podcast.
yeah, I'm hearing about a lot now.
I actually think it's awesome that people are doing like hashtag creations and they're not just doing simple hashtags. They're coming up with one. My favorite one so far for this year is, I want to give a shout out to them, it's a couple, and their hashtag was, I love it when you call me Giampapa. Yeah, his last name, the groom's last name is Giampapa. And I thought it was amazing. They actually came out to Big Papa was their introduction song. So, but to create your own hashtag, stuff like that, obviously, I'm sure most of you are aware, once your guests are taking pictures, which they will, and they throw them on Instagram and they put the hashtag, you can actually then go back and search your hashtag and see all the pictures that were taken that you weren't able to see. And they're all behind the scenes, and generally they're all candid, unless your friends are professional phone photographers, which I don't even know if it's a thing, but maybe that is.
Check my Instagram for some professional phone photography. Brandon Smith 203 Instagram.
Quick shout out, thanks. Yeah, so with that said, if you can, either whether it's on Facebook, your own Instagram, or even taking the opportunity to create or make a sign, put it by the bar, put it somewhere so people are knowing that you do have a hashtag for your wedding. The other quick way to tell 100, 150, 250 people, the DJ. let them know, and they can actually make a quick announcement so people know. The challenge with that one, because I'm well aware, is how do you spell that hashtag?
Mhm.
But I will always announce, this is the hashtag, ladies and gentlemen. If anyone wants to know the correct spelling or how to spell it, please come see me. It's nice because it creates a little interaction for myself and your guest, but also anyone that didn't know about it, or I can always say, hey, go check it out over by the bar.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah,
so-
you get a nice sign.
Yeah, so if you have a nice sign on Pinterest, Etsy, there's tons of different things to even look at, get ideas of, so on and so forth. So what else we have, Brandon?
The last two things that we have to talk about, one of them would be shuttles.
Yes.
So at the end of the night.
So if your guests don't know, you know, obviously that's something between yourself and the shuttle companies or the hotel or whoever's going to provide the shuttle service. Quick little note for you. I had a wonderful couple. Their wedding was 6 to midnight. Their last shuttle was supposed to come at midnight. I just happened to find out that information because we will ask if you want us to announce when the shuttle pickup times are or stuff like that. So I just gave them the information that you probably don't want to have your last shuttle pick you up at 12, because I found out that they were going to be taking the last shuttle. And chances are at midnight, when the last song is just finally being played, that they're not going to be ready to walk out the door and get on a shuttle. They're going to thank their guests, they're going to thank whoever, and then grab their stuff if they are grabbing some of their belongings and making their way out. So maybe just keep in mind 12:15, 12:10, whatever it is, 15 minutes at least after your wedding ends. Again, these are just suggestions. You guys do whatever you want with the information, but this is just stuff that we think it's good food for thought.
Something else I wanted to add is I recently just emceed a wedding, and for some reason or another, the bus company just didn't show up the day they were supposed to. So what they did was they just coordinated with Uber, and they ordered a bunch of Uber X's, or we can even use Lyft or whatever you have to do. So just something to keep in mind if something goes wrong and you
Correct.
need that Lyft or you need a ride, just go with Lyft or Uber.
Yeah, backup plans. Plan B is always good to have one.
Yes,
So-
definitely.
And wrapping up, centerpieces. Again, centerpieces. So if you're giving them away, however you may be giving them away, try to let people know if they aren't allowed to take them too.
Mhm.
Some people will all have us announce if they are taking them, but it's also nice to potentially announce to guests, because we had that situation recently. A guest tried to leave with the centerpieces and they were rented, or sometimes it's just flowers only, which is fine. But it was quite interesting watching someone stop a guest with who, you know, a flower centerpiece, a floral centerpiece, saying, you can leave with the flowers, but not the vase.
Mhm.
But all in all, these are some of our wedding checklists, things that we think are important to you, your friends, your family, you guys as a couple to know more about, just so you have a little behind the scenes information before the big day happens. As always, subscribe to the channel, to our YouTube channel. Download our podcast. There's more podcasts. There's different episodes. If you want us to talk about any and everything, email us info@lightscameradjs.com. You can text us 203-283-7892. Again, 203-283-7892. Text us with some ideas of things that you want, or just give us a shout out and say hi, and we'll talk more about you. I would love to hear from some people, anyone that's watching this on YouTube, or anyone that's listening to our podcast. Send me an email of some of your hashtags or the ones you either used for your past wedding, previously, you know, or your friends, siblings, whoever it is. Dwayne@lightscameradjs.com, and that's DUANE @lightscameradjs.com.
And I am Brandon @lightscameradjs.com. Thanks a lot, guys.
Brandon, thank you as always.
you,
It's
Dwayne.
been fun, and until the next episode.